Hello, and welcome to our session today on making budgeting and business intelligence easy. Joining us today is Richard Pedigo from Gumo. And before I pass it over to Richard, I would like to remind you that this session is being recorded, and we will be posting it on our on-demand library later this week for you to review and share. And also, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the questions box, and we will get them answered at the end of the presentation. And so now I will turn it over to Richard to kick off our presentation.
Thank you very much, Shanji. Can you hear me and can you see my screen?
Yes and yes.
All right, great. And well, we have a very large turnout today. Thank you everyone for attending. I really appreciate you investing the time to attend our webinar and learn about Gumo Corporate Performance Management and Business Intelligence. My name is Rick Pedigo, and I am the Vice President of Alliances for Gumo, and I work with our strategic partners, and today I'm going to be going through and showing you a presentation and demonstration on Gumo. So the objectives of today is I want to make sure that as I go through the presentation that we properly position Gumo in the reporting, budgeting, and forecasting market, as well as in the business intelligence. And so I'll be addressing what some of our customers and prospects are facing on a day-to-day and why they have selected Gumo, and what is the overall business case for the modernization and the digital transformation of accounting and finance departments, as well as executive dashboards and other processes within the organization. And then I'll be going over some of the competitive advantages that we have, since we're obviously not the only product in our particular marketplace. Gumo is a company. We're headquartered in Sydney, Australia, with our US headquarters in Dallas, Texas. And we've been in business now for 17 years. We first started out being a reseller for IBM and with a business intelligence system that they had a long time ago. And then we moved into the development of our own system, Gumo, which has now been in the marketplace for, we're in our 7th year. It's a very nice mature market or mature product. We're actually at version 12. Over the last 4 years, we have participated in a business intelligence survey by BARC. For those of you who are not familiar with the BARC survey, you might be familiar with Gartner. This is a survey similar to Gartner, but it focuses only on business intelligence, and it is done every year, ranking all the products. And if you go out to our website at www.gumo.com, there you can get a complete copy of that particular survey. Over the years, we have done extremely well in the survey and the results, and not only is it a survey like Gartner is specifically just business analysts reviewing the products, but with BARC, what it is, not only do the analysts review the products, but they also have input directly from customers. So you're getting a very balanced review of what the products are like. And we've done extremely well, ranking either #1 or in a leader category in some very important categories. For instance, customer satisfaction and the business benefit and price to value, as well as support and implementation issues and ease of use. So we're very proud of the fact that we've done so well, and we make all that information available to anyone that would really like to do a deep dive into the product and see exactly how it may fit into your organization. I've been doing this for a long time. Back in the 90s, I worked for Ernst & Young, and I was on the consulting services side. And during that period of time, we were working with a lot of organizations, and primarily the executives would say, the problem that I'm facing on a daily basis is I cannot get information out of my systems to effectively run the company. So they could not figure out what was going on because of the variety of data sources. Some of the systems were very antiquated. They had a lot of legacy products. And realistically, today, that hasn't changed all that much. But today we have a lot more data. We have multiple data sources that need to come in to really figure out what is happening in a company, and being able to get exactly the information that you want, as opposed to, in many situations, you'll have one system telling you that revenue was this and another system telling you revenue was that. Which number is correct? So we do need a single version of the truth. And so when we talk to customers, what they're looking for is that centralized data repository that has the ability to support multiple data sources, not only information just coming out of the ERP solution, that they have the ability to analyze and slice and dice and produce information very quickly and efficiently, and also that they want to capitalize on their knowledge base that they already have with Excel and Microsoft Office, and being able to access the information from the web. And our customers do realize that. They realize a significant improvement in the budgeting and reporting processes, removing errors because they're not mashing up information coming from different systems into one and potentially doing that manually, and that is riddled with risk. And also being able to decrease cycle time. Oftentimes, companies are passing around Excel spreadsheets, for instance, to do budgeting. It's very difficult, time consuming, nobody likes it. And now as I go through and show you our budgeting solution, you'll see just how easy and quickly the system is and how it's fully automated. So if I were to put together a diagram of a typical Microsoft Dynamics customer, this probably would be it. Multiple data sources, wanting information from a variety of capabilities, not just general ledger, but subledger information, AR, AP, HR, bringing in information from outside. And oftentimes you're having to use different products to do different things. For instance, you have to resort to SQL reporting services if you want to hit subledger information. Might be using Forecaster or just native Excel for doing budgeting. And so all in all, it becomes a system that is across multiple types and sources of data, as well as multiple types and of software, none of which really work together. So what does Gumo bring to the end user? We bring an all-in-one reporting, budgeting, and business intelligence system. So our product is set up in such a way that it literally on the price sheet, there are 3 line items. You have Gumo, a designer user, and an end user, and that's it. And it has all the functionality that I'm going to be showing you built in. So each user has the ability to use the full functionality of the system, and it supports any type of data that's coming in. And from a deployment point of view, you'll be able to access that information under full security. We use Active Directory for initial authentication, and we have a full security profile capability to where you can take security at the user level down to the contents of a cell within an Excel spreadsheet. And we're able to provide that information out to people from a web portal. So any information that they want is available under full security 24/7 from anywhere that they can access the internet on any device that is able to access the internet. So having said that, I want to go straight into a demo and show you the product. So let me get out to an instance of Gumo. And this would be an example of what an end user landing page might look like. So on the left-hand side, we have a library of all of the content that a user would have available to them. And then here we have the capability to display that content. This is just an example of a dashboard, but it's got a lot of functionality built into it that really displays the power of Gumo. So on this particular dashboard, if I wanted to drill through to a particular report, I would be able to just go to the income statement right from the dashboard. Within the income statement, I would have the capability to do drop downs to different periods. So get back to June. I can have drop downs on organizations and departments. I can have KPIs built into the report. I can also add comments to the report. So if I want to add a comment, I would add it here. And then I would just refresh it. And now that comment is entered into the report. I also have the capability to drill to specific transactional detail. So if I pick labor expense here and drill to that information, I now come up to the specific transactions right from within the report. Now, if I wish to slice and dice similar to a pivot table, I can move the information around. And now you'll see that I have, based on my organization on account type, I have my employee benefits, and I can slice and dice this virtually any way that I wish. So full flexibility. So I came all the way from a dashboard all the way out to a report, and then drill down to the transactional detail. I can do the same thing at the line item if I just want to look at some specific amount. I can also include in a dashboard graphics. And I'm going to show you how simple it is with Gumo to design a chart. The charts come out of the box fully dynamic, so they too allow to be drilled down to get specific information. Within a dashboard, I can also add comments. So I could add a comment here. I can also, under budgeting, we have complete workflow. So I can come in and look at a workflow report, including conditional formatting on the contents. So here I can see the progress of each and every person. Over here, they could add comments. I could put in due dates. So you have complete control over the process and visibility of budgeting within the Gumo system. And you'll notice here that we also have dynamic content. Unlike putting a graph in Excel, which is then static, this information is very simple to report. And because we are an Excel add-in, which I'll be showing you in a little bit, you can use Excel graphics if you wish not to use ours, or if you want to include Power BI as a data visualization tool, it can connect seamlessly to Gumo. Let's take a look at some of the content that I have available to me. So I can also publish to a mobile device. So here I have a sales by product and customer diagram, and it also has full capability for drill down as well as reports. Just as I did before, I could come here and I could drill down on the transaction, slice and dice the information in any way that I would see fit without having to run an additional report. Let me close some of this. So let's take a look at some of the dashboards that we can create with our example dashboards that have been created using the Gumo graphics design tool. So here's a dashboard that is part of our demonstration system, and it also is fully capable of doing drill down. Here's another example of a dashboard. And so you'll see that we have the ability to put in nice colors and graphics, and also we can drill to, as I did before, we can drill to a document, and then from that document drill down and get the transactional information. This is very important for a lot of people because when they're seeing graphical representation of data, they want to get down to the specific detail behind what is producing this particular graph. And so in doing so, now I have the ability to do that without having to go back and run another report or get into a query tool and drill down and do some type of data discovery. So let's take a look at a dashboard that is where we can actually go in and do a little bit of analysis. So here's a dashboard with some examples for some retail sales of electronic equipment, including televisions. So here I see televisions is my number 3 in quantity, but it's clearly my number 1 in revenue. So what kind of televisions am I selling? Well, I'm still selling plasma TVs, which kind of an old technology, but it's still driving a significant amount of business. And you'll notice over on the side, all of my tabular data is also being updated as I scroll through the graphs. So who are my major customers buying my TVs? Well, major customers buying TVs are going to be these, and let's see who are buying the TVs for plasma. Wow, Waterfall Hotel is buying them, and how many are they buying? Well, you can see the volume and the quantity and the revenue that this particular customer is driving to our company. So from a single dashboard, I now have the capability to really derive a lot of information as it relates clear down to transactional information by company. So let's move on. Let me close up some of these dashboards because there's a lot of different types of graphic capabilities that we can put into the dashboards. But let's move on to show some examples of some financials. So here I have examples of some of the financials that for our demonstration purposes that we have. So we have balance sheets, we have cash flows, income statements. Since we are doing the design or template creation using Excel, there is no limit to the type of spreadsheet or report that you can produce. Again, in these situations, I have the capability of drilling down and looking at my transactions. And so this would give me, if I wanted to look at all my transactions for my receivables, I could do that without having to run sorry about that. Without having to run another report. I apologize. Okay, there we go. Without having to run a different report to figure out what my receivables are. Cash flow, income statements, all the traditional reports that you would expect obviously can be created with Gumo. And I'm going to be creating a report shortly to show you how simple it is to select the data that you want to work with and then go straight into Excel and be able to create these particular templates. So let's move on to planning. I know that was one of the items that we were looking at. So some examples of planning. So we have the ability to support rolling forecasts. We have the ability to do payroll planning. We have ability to do sales volume input planning as well as pricing. So let's look at a consolidated planning sheet, and I'll drive through this. So in this example, we are going to be sending out a template to people responsible for budgeting. And I showed you the workflow that you would be able to track and determine the progress of these individual people. When they receive, these people, department heads or whomever, when they receive the template, it would be in a not started status, and then it would move to in progress as they start inputting information. A standard template could be created and then sent to all department heads. Under security, they would only see the information that they would be authorized to see. So let's start at the very top. So here I want to go out and I want to put in some sales volume information. So here I'm going to, for the first 3 months, I'm going to sell 12,000 of these. I'm going to select my spreading method. I'm going to spread them evenly, and I will then update that. And you'll notice that based upon tying all this information together, that now I've got it's driven my sales revenue, it's driven my cost of sales, and it's driven my gross profit. So I can go down and we're going to have a special on this one, and we're expecting to sell 9,000 of those in that particular month. And so I would go through and just fill out my budget and forecast as to for this particular period that has been selected. And when I'm done, I would just go back to my consolidated budget report. And you'll notice now that everything is tied together, and don't know why I'm getting that, but everything is tied together and it's all updated. So now I want to go down, and I've been told that for my expense budget, I am to stay within last year's actuals. So I have last year's actuals here. I have my available budget for this year. So let's take a look at local advertising. So I could come in and I can add line item detail under advertising. I can come in and say under my advertising here for the first 3 months, I'm going to spend $9,000. I'm going to spread that evenly, and I have a number of options available to me. And now you'll notice that my total advertising budget allocation for this year was 45,000, and now it's been set at 36. So I can work through my budget. I can see my available budget remaining. I can spread these over last year based upon actuals, or I can spread them even 4, 4, 5. However I would like to do that. I can add line items here, and then I just go through my budget and finalize everything as it's going through. So I can expand each and every one of these items out. We're going to get a new display, and we're going to be buying that here. It's going to cost $15,000. I can update that. And so now you'll see that I only have about $11,000 left to spend on merchandising and displays. So I think you get the general idea that we now have a very nice, sophisticated way to enter information. I can enter in comments on each and every line item. And now I want to go down and I want to work on my personnel planning. So for my particular area of responsibility, I have been authorized these particular positions at this particular salary level. So for Mike, Mike is going to be a full-time employee for the entire year. So I am going to add that. I'm going to update it. And now what you'll see is that my salary has been added here. All the benefits, sick leave, retirement, training, everything has been calculated. For Kim, I'm going to show a different way to enter in the salary. So for Kim, I'm going to enter in the salary there of 125. I'm going to update that. And you'll notice that it now just spreads it out here. And now it incremented that and updated this information. My planning manager, I'm going to, oops, don't want to do that. Wrong, I want to slide this over. My planning manager is not coming on board until January. So I will put that person in as a January hire. I will spread that and check that, update, and now the salary is been set up for a 6-month salary, but it's still budgeted. Everything is through. Now I go back over to my consolidated sheet, and all my information is put together. So now this information is in the data warehouse. So Gumo uses a SQL analysis services database for the data warehouse. So as I'm entering this information, it's not going to need to be hand merged or put together by another person. When I'm done, I would come over here, I would hit submit. It freezes the input screen for the budget and sends it off to the person doing the budget approval. It can either be rejected or approved, and we can collaborate back and forth until the entire budget is finalized. Then it all rolls up into a corporate consolidated budget with individual departments set up here to where I could drill down and take a look at the individual department budget content. So a very easy to use system. We have companies that are using our budgeting tool to budget, excuse me, to budget. An example is one hotel chain that budgets twice a week, actually forecast twice a week. And what they're doing is they're forecasting on the occupancy rate of the hotel, and then it rolls in and calculates all the associated expenses for based on that occupancy rate, like how many little bottles of shampoo and bars of soap and laundry and labor and all the other content that they need. And that rolls up into a corporate budget, and they're doing that across a hotel chain that owns 150 different properties. So it can be used very, very extensively, or it can be used by small organizations that just have two or three, one or two people that need to do budgeting. But it brings all the power of the budgeting tool to either large or small organizations, and it can bring in information from not only the ERP system, but like, for instance, the salary information can be coming in from ADP, Paychecks, any HR or salary system. So I'm now going to move on into actually showing you how to implement or design a spreadsheet. As I said, we are an Excel add-in. So here I'm using Office 365, and I'm just running a local instance of Excel on my laptop. And here is the Gumo add-in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and I'm going to select the data that I want to work with. Let me close that one, that I want to work with in designing a template. So here are the tabs that a designer would have. So these are the recent reports, my reports, apps. So it comes in here, a wide variety of things. I'm going to go out to data. So now with data, I'm going out to my data warehouse. I'm going to pick the company that I'm going to work with. This happens to be AdventureWorks. And I'm going to pick the cube that I am going to work with. Now, I mentioned cubes. With SQL Analysis Services, we use cubes for speed and performance, and they're very simple to set up because we do all the automation and management of the cube code. It happens to be called MDX behind the scenes, so you don't need to have a database administrator actually go in and work with you to gain access to the information in the cube. So this is my grid. Some people might call it a palette. And in this palette, I'm going to be selecting the information that I want to work with for the creation of this particular report. So I'm going to pick my drop downs and put them up here in my slicer. So I'm going to pick fiscal year. I'm going to pick department. I'm going to pick organization and scenario. For my rows, I'm going to bring in my natural accounts. And for my columns, I'm going to bring in month of year. Now I'm live in the Gumo Cloud instance against the data warehouse. And so you'll notice how fast it is. I'm happen to be working at home today, and I'm on a residential internet. And so you'll see that the performance is really spectacular. So here on net income, I can go down to subledger information. I can drill down here. I can do all of this. I can expand it out any way I want. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to bring over to Excel the top line information on net income. I would come over here and then I would put send to Excel. So now what's going to happen is I am going to open this. It's going to take me out to Excel, and it's going to populate my spreadsheet. I can come in here and I can now expand this information just as I did in the web browser, but I can expand it here. I don't need to do it in the browser. I can come in and do a wide variety of things. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to just do some simple things to show you that I'm actually working in Excel. So here I am going to bold and center that. I'm going to bold my net income. I could move net income to the bottom of the report. That's what I wish to do. I'm going to come in and format this a little differently. And so in the content of this report, if I want to use Excel formulas or do anything, I can. But at the present time, all I'm doing is using Gumo functionality to get the information directly from the data warehouse. So now I have the information, or the template set up and the report set up in the fashion that I wish. And so now I can publish it. So if I go to publish it, if I publish to public, it will in fact make this report available to all authorized users. If I publish to private, I can direct the report to be sent to an individual, to a department, to a group under full security. And as I pointed out earlier, I can take security at a user level down to the content of a cell. But before I publish the report, I want to show you how simple it would be to represent this data in a graphical form. Just do a little data visualization of the same data that I would have here in that spreadsheet. So I'm going to go in our graphics design tool, and I'm going to pick the finance cube, the same one I used before. And so you'll notice that the format is the same. Over here, I have all of my capabilities set up for designing the template or designing the dashboard. So I'm going to just do exactly the same thing that I did in the creation of the report. So I'm going to move fiscal years here. I'm going to move department, organization, and my scenario. I'm going to bring my count dimension to here, and I'm going to bring my month of year here. Okay, I just created a dashboard. So now you'll notice that here, as a normal function of Gumo, I have the ability to drill down. And so it just updated the dashboard and it updated the contents here. I can change the orientation of the chart. I can expand the chart out if I wish to do that. So I can do just about anything here that I want. Once it's designed and completed in the fashion that I wish, I can then publish it just like I was going to publish the report that I created in Excel. So now let's go ahead and publish this report. So now I'm going to publish the report, and what it's going to do, it's going to write it back to the Gumo web portal, to the users that are authorized to see it, and you'll notice it's exactly the same format as you would expect that I designed in the template. So now I can come in and I can do some drill down. I can change the report content to a different date. I can come in and look at different departments if I wish. I can change from actual to budget without having to run another report. I can look at budget variance. I can come back to actuals. I can go out to my labor and drill down. I can support the reformatting and slicing and dicing of the information any way that that I choose. So right from a very simple function of creating this report, I now brought all of this capability to be able to change the content for years, move from actual to budget, do drill down capabilities, all of that as a natural built-in feature of the Gumo system. So having said that, I am now going to be moving back to the slide presentation and from the current slide. So what did I just show you? Well, Gumo as a system can either run on-prem or in the Azure cloud. They're exactly the same system, same code content. I was able to show you bringing in information from salary, as well as operations and sales forecasting, as well as bringing in information from not only general ledger, but sub-ledger information. I could bring in information from spreadsheets. I could bring in information from other cloud systems. Let's say you have, you're looking at marketing data and you want to bring in Google Analytics. I can bring into the data warehouse virtually any data that you want, and I can set up the refresh rates to be exactly what you want by data type. So perhaps the HR data is not going to be refreshed as quickly as the accounting data. Well, you can set up the refresh rates to be precisely what you need. I can also manually set up refresh rates. And so if I'm at an end of month and I'm posting things and I want to get a trial balance, I can do that. All of these things are capable within Gumo. You saw how I moved information out to Excel from the data warehouse. And once in Excel, I was able to format the report template in any fashion that I wanted. One thing I didn't show is that the content that is produced within Gumo can be included in Word documents or PowerPoint presentations. So let's say you have a board book or an executive briefing book or a monthly report that goes out to the executive staff or out to investors. You can put the content of Gumo into these documents, and it is dynamically linked back to the data warehouse. So once the document has been put together, you can use it over and over again. And to include the current content, all you have to do is refresh. And then the content is brought up to date for as of the last refresh. So no longer do you have to do at the end of a quarter, end of a year, monthly, whatever, mash up a bunch of information, put it into either a Word or PowerPoint presentation, and then it saves a tremendous amount of time. From a display capability, I showed you that I was working in Excel and Office 365 in my case to actually develop the template. And then I published it out to the web portal. So a user under full security, whether you're coming into the Azure cloud or whether the on-prem situation, if you're on-prem, our product sits behind the firewall on an internet server, and a person would just come into the system via the internet under full security and have the information available to them 24/7. I also pointed out that we're not just a reporting solution, or we're not just a budgeting solution or a data visualization. We, in fact, can support virtually any type of report format or budget format or visualize any data that you so desire. Why did we pick Microsoft Azure? Well, first of all, we're a Microsoft Gold certified partner in several categories, business intelligence, as well as cloud services and software development. But the Microsoft Azure cloud is very, very secure. And because we support a wide variety and types of customers in different industries, we wanted to make sure that the platform we picked would be consistent with the security requirements of that industry. Additionally, we are AICPA SOC 1 Type 2 compliant, which means that our software has been audited, our deployment or the deployment of the software has been audited, as well as our operations to be consistent with the security requirements that our customers require. And so this is an annual process that we go through, and so we can guarantee as custodians of your data that we are compliant with CPA specific requirements with security and operational capabilities. Gumo is not a product that is verticalized. There are products out there that go after specific industries, but we as a corporation address all types of industries and all sizes of companies. We have companies, our current largest customer has 2,200 users in our web system, in our cloud instance. They are doing global consolidation across their company, including currency conversions with 16 different currencies. We just actually signed a larger customer about a month ago. We haven't deployed them yet. And they'll have 3,500 users. We also have users that are very small, 1 or 2 people using the product. But the advantage of whether you're small, medium, or large is that you get the full functionality of the product. You're not getting a scaled down version because you're 1 or 2 users, and you're not getting some sort of issues with performance because you're a large user. We can scale nicely across all types of industries, whether they be domestic or global in scope. One example is this CFO of SSI came over from an Oracle shop where they were running Oracle Financials and Hyperion, which is a very expensive product that Oracle acquired, and does similar things to what we do. And this individual gave us a nice quote saying that we do everything Hyperion does, and in some cases much better, at a fraction of the cost. Hyperion's millions of dollars to deploy. And through the deployment of Gumo in the organization, the individual has saved over 20% in the operational cost, with saving hundreds of hours per year. And things are getting done much more easily. Their processes are improving, and they are a multinational company, and so they're able to very simply be able to have reports move from one currency to another. The overall objective, we want to get the right information to the right person at the right time. Basically, some systems out there, because of the restrictions on how they report on data, can't really tell you the complete picture of what has happened in the company. So we want to make sure by being able to gather the complete information that a company has available to them for reporting, that we know precisely what is going on with every facet of the organization. And this allows people to analyze, slice and dice the data to really determine what the impact of this information has on the company. Is something going extremely well that they need to capitalize on? Is something going not so well that they need to pay attention to and perhaps increase from a performance point of view, as well as plan what to do next? So there's 3 questions. So what happened? And so what? What was the impact of what happened on the company? And then what next? What are we going to do about it? And how are we going to move forward? Gumo addresses all that information and provides tools to everyone in the organization, not just executives, but people at any level in the organization so they can take action. Not only can they take action, but they can make decisions based upon correct and trustworthy information, making data-driven decisions, which is really a very, a very, very important consideration for people out there today, because no longer do you just want to use, well, I think things are going well, or here, and looking at your organization through a rear view mirror. You want it to be forward thinking, and that we want to be able to get this information out to people in a very, very efficient and fast way, and be able to build upon skills that are already in the company. And generally that means that using Excel and Word and PowerPoint, and being able to work in an environment that's both a combination of web, for instance, accessing information, or actually creating it within Excel on your desktop, and be able to do this much faster. We've replaced several of our competitors' products in the marketplace. One of our customers had a report from one of our competitors, a fairly significant consolidation report. They're a franchise company, and they have hundreds of franchises around the United States. And when they ran their monthly financials on consolidation across those franchises, the report was taking over 2.5 hours. They looked to the marketplace for a more efficient product. We did a proof of concept with them. They're now a customer, and that exact same report runs in 20 seconds. So it's all about the architecture and how the database and everything else is set up. So what are our customers saying? Well, their customers are saying that they're saving huge amounts of time. In this one customer, they are projecting that they're saving over 400 hours per year just in their budgeting process. That now one of our customers was able to put the responsibility for budgeting at the department head level, as opposed to basically spreading the information, the actuals each month manually over time. That customers who really have not done budgeting before because they didn't have a system, now with Gumo are able to implement budgeting, make it very, very smooth and easy to use, and being able to cut down on the time. That's a constant thing that comes back from our customers, is ease of use, flexibility, and saving time. And it all comes down to saving time, relating directly back to return on investment by saving money. So, any additional information that you might need, we're going to open it up now for questions. You can also reach out to Anovia and request a custom demo, which we would be happy to work with you to set up. You can visit our website at Gumo.com. We have a lot of information, including all of our pricing information for the system. As I pointed out, if you wanted to look at the BARC 2018 BI survey, where we are highly rated, it's there, and it gives you a nice comparison against virtually all the other major players in the marketplace today. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Angie to find out if we have any questions. And I want to thank you all for spending time with me today. I hope the time that you have spent has been very useful, and I look forward to working with you in the future to provide you any additional information or demonstration of the system. So Angie, if you want to open it up for questions, I'd be very happy to answer them.
Yes, we do have a couple of them. First one is, does Gumo work with all versions of Microsoft Dynamics, including 365?
Yes, it does. Gumo is, we refer to it as ERP or data agnostic. So we work with all the versions and all of the product types within Dynamics, as well as others, including 365. And in addition, we work with, for instance, Microsoft CRM or Salesforce or other products where you may need to bring additional data in, like I said, like paychecks or ADP payroll, things along that line. So yes.
Okay, thank you. Next question, does Columo have the ability to work with Power BI?
It does. Because of the way in which we have architected the system. And let me quickly go back to the architecture diagram. So here, this represents the source of data, represents the data warehouse, and we use a Microsoft SQL Server database, and we're using Analysis Services, which is the preferred database for Power BI, and Power BI can connect directly to the Columo data warehouse, and you can run Power BI and do anything you want with it, and run right alongside with the Columo system.
Okay, thank you. And what is the length of training required for a Columo user?
Okay. Our training class is 1 day. And the reason it's 1 day is because we are an Excel add-in. And as you saw, once we have set up the data sources in the data warehouse, it's just a matter of training people how to use Columo and selecting the data they wish to build upon. So we run that training day. And then we generally follow training with anywhere from 1 to 3 days of workshop where we stay on site and we work with the people to actually develop their own reports, forecasts, and budgets so that at the end of the workshop, we actually have items in full production. So 1 day of training, 1 to 3 days worth of workshop.
Okay, thank you. And what is the normal time required to implement Columo?
Well, that really varies. If we're just going to be implementing or bringing into the data warehouse the accounting data, GL, AP, AR, we're literally looking at a few days. If we are going to be bringing in information from additional data sources, then that would be additional time because we would work with the customer to identify specifically what data would be needed to be brought in from each and every individual source. We would then set up the refresh the it's called ETL, the capabilities, and bring the data in. So if it's just accounting data, it's a few days, and then it can go out to virtually more time. Just depends upon the number of data sources. So short period of time. Generally, everybody is up within a week to 10 days.
Okay, thank you. And are there consultants to assist with the development of reports, forecasts, and budgets?
There are. And so following the initial training and workshops, several of our customers have come back to our partners. And in this case, you could come back to Anovia or you could come back to us. And we have consultants that would be available to work with you to design and develop additional reports, budgets, forecasts if you don't have the time to do it, or perhaps you have some very large project that needs to be crunched. We can provide that level of assistance on an ongoing basis if needed.
Okay, thank you. And are there any internet browsers that Columo will not work with?
Um, we support all of the internet browsers out there. I happen to be working in Chrome. I know we Internet Explorer, Firefox, all the majors. There may be some browser out there that I'm not aware of, but we haven't run into one yet that we don't support.
All right, that is all the questions that we have for today. Please feel free to contact us or the team at Gumo with any additional questions that you may have. And I just want to thank Richard for presenting today, and to everyone on today's call or watching on demand, thank you for joining us. And we do have a couple more webinars coming up. On Tuesday, December 18th, we have Scott Borsodi from Innovia Consulting. He will be presenting on whether or not you are leaving money on the table. And Scott will also be presenting on the concern about manufacturer recalls and your liabilities under FSMA. And that webinar is on Thursday, December 20th. Thank you again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again soon on another Innovia webinar. Have a great day, everyone.
Okay, well, thank you, and happy holidays to everyone. Bye-bye.